I've had this amazing career, and it's been fun until now. It's time for me to retire. I'm not appreciated anymore, but I'm scared of the future.
We get that. We want to touch on the most sensitive part of this conversation. I'm not appreciated anymore. Cut that out. That's just beating a drum that doesn't serve you and playing a violin that doesn't apply. So what makes you say that? Do you believe that you are an expanding being?
Yes.
And do you believe that no matter what you're doing, that you're launching rockets of desire?
Absolutely.
And are you trying to tell us, oh, we gave ourselves away. Do you think that the life that you've lived, even with this career that you've enjoyed, that has caused you to launch so many rockets of desire into your vibrational reality, what we call the vortex, do you think that those things have an expiration date on them? In other words, is there somewhere in that vortex, is there a retirement sign?
No.
And do you think that the life that you've lived has caused you to create beyond the specific work that you are doing every day?
I do.
And do you think that your vortex has no appreciation or regard for you? Do you think your inner being has no regard for you? So what was that "I'm feeling sorry for myself" comment all about? Oh, the answer was in the question.
Yes. I'm feeling sorry for myself, and it's being carried.
Why? So if we apply this new thing that we're asking you for, now, if we apply it right now, it's a little hard, but we're going to back up with you a little bit and show you how it works. When we ask you to ask yourself, is this a satisfying thought? No, this is a feeling sorry for myself thought. Well, you know what a feeling sorry for myself thought is? That means you're nowhere near the thought that your inner being is having about this. We have some questions for you. How long have you worked at this place?
Almost 11 years.
And during that time, did you ever one time wish for more freedom?
Yes.
Bam, into the vortex. During that time, did you ever acknowledge that you have more to give than the confines of that particular place can receive from you?
Absolutely.
Bam, into the vortex. So we could go on. It's a lot of fun. So you acknowledge that through that 11 years and even beyond, that you have been creating a vortex. We happen to know that your vortex will keep you happy for 20 or 30 years. So we think it can carry you on a little longer than in the next, how long before they kick you out?
Probably another 6 or 7 or 8 months.
Can you accept that you have created something that goes past that?
Yes.
And so when you say, but I'm scared, it's because you can't yet see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. But do you acknowledge it? Do you accept it? Does it make sense to you?
Completely.
So could it be an adventure that you're on your way to? Could this be a puzzle that you're putting the pieces together? Could there be inspiration that's flowing to you? Could it be a fun thing as it unfolds? All satisfying thoughts. Or do you choose to take it as an insult? Did someone walk up to you and say, you know, we've stopped appreciating you and therefore it's time for you to retire? Did anybody say that to you?
No.
Then why are you saying it to you? Why are you making that stuff up?
Because no one tells me they appreciate me, but...
Well, they're too busy looking for their own stuff in their own piles. Everyone, or nearly so, is pretty self-oriented. And we know you've heard us say, because you've been listening to us for a while, that most of you are looking for love in all the wrong places. Because you know who knows what your future is? Your inner being. You know where the information is? In your vortex. You know how happy all of us are about what's ahead of you? happier than we can describe in words. That's the gang you want to party with, not the people that are still bogged down wishing they were dead at work. We're kidding a little. Just a little. You see what we're getting at?
Yes.
When most people do some version of what you're doing, they feel underappreciated because hardly anyone has the need or the discipline or has made the decision to hold you as their object of attention. And so since they're not holding you as their object of attention and you're counting on them for your support, then you could feel a little less cared for. And so are you saying to us that even though they haven't been saying appreciative words to you, that you've just been supported by the structure of the organization? In other words, at least there's a place for me to go.
Yes.
And a place for me to move things around where there's some compensation in response to the things that I've moved around. But can you feel how paltry and minuscule and mediocre that is in relationship with all of the power of your vortex, all the love of your vortex, all the knowing of your vortex? You've got something so much brighter, so much better, so much more rewarding, something so much more satisfying. And you know, almost everybody's running around wanting to be appreciated. I need you to appreciate me. And you know what the secret to living happily ever after is? For you to be the appreciator, for you to find the object of attention to which you can flow the energy of source, who is in the appreciation mode all of the time, funneled right through you to something. That's what opens you up. That's what rings your bells. But if you're trying to appreciate yourself or trying to get somebody else to appreciate you, that's the hardest of all, you see. It really is the greatest flawed premise that humans have been enduring for all of humandom. Which brings us to the most important part of the seminar. So we've been talking to all of you about how law of attraction abounds and how you put things into the vortex. And then we wrote a couple of books really wanting to encourage you to get into the vortex, find the vibrational frequency of the vortex and get in there. And you understood it conceptually, but you would say, how do I get in? Where's the door? Why won't the door open? So then we began saying to you, you know, it's not a real door. You do know that. And it's a vibrational frequency, and you're a vibrational frequency. And so if you are somewhere in the vicinity of the vibrational frequency of the vortex, then you can be the receiver of what is known by your inner being who is in your vortex. Impulses and ideas, just an impulse to go somewhere or to be at a certain place. These impulses are just really wonderful the way they flow to you, but you've got to be in the receiving mode in order for that to happen. So most people run around not in the receiving mode, which is also a feeling of satisfaction. They run around not in the receiving mode, and yet they are receiving something. Now here's what we mean by this. When you are focused in a way that you feel good, that means you don't have resistance in your vibration. When you don't have resistance, then your vibration rises. And when your vibration rises, now you have the vibrational equivalency of the vortex, of your inner being, of all the things that you're asking for. And under those conditions, you get good ideas and you feel happy, you feel satisfied. Receiving mode, satisfaction mode, same mode. So we want to call that under the influence. Esther's going to create some dash cards for you. She thought about bumper stickers, but she didn't think it was good for you to run around town with a bumper sticker that said under the influence. She has some dash cards that say things are always working out for me. And when you look at the card, you can't read it because it's all backwards. But when you lay it on your dash of your car and it reflects onto the glass, then you can read. And so under the influence, because we've been asking her and we're asking you, and she wants you to ask you, I know that I'm under the influence, but under the influence of what? Because if you're awake, you're broadcasting, and if you're broadcasting, you're receiving, and if you're receiving, you're under the influence, and law of attraction will make sure that you can feel it strong, because law of attraction just causes momentum about whatever it is you are thinking about. Yes. So the question that we want to put to you, that we'd like you to really consider, is, what am I under the influence of? Am I under the influence of my inner being who's in my vortex, who not only recognized everything that I put there as I lived it incrementally, but knows how it all gathered together, knows what it is, knows who I really am, what I've evolved to, and is offering constant guidance about that? That's under the influence. Or you could be under the influence of CNN. You could be under the influence of something you're watching on television, or somebody who is upset with you about something. In other words, what influence are you under? And here's the key. If you feel satisfaction, you can know you are in this moment under the influence of your inner being. And whatever thoughts and ideas that come to you are going to be good ones. But if you are pensive or worried or ornery or grouchy, if you're not appreciating and not feeling appreciated, then you're not under the influence of Source. You're not under the influence of your inner being, but you are under the influence of something, and that's worth talking about, because momentum is momentum is momentum is momentum. You can't stop all of a sudden, stop feeling not appreciated, because you've practiced it too long. So all of a sudden you can't say, okay, Abraham, you're right. From now on, I will feel appreciated when I go to work. No, you won't. You're not going to do it all at once. But if you understand what we're saying here, and you just take away from this conversation this very small analogy, I'm always under the influence of something. If I'm broadcasting, and if I'm awake, I am. I'm always under the influence of something. Am I under the influence of my inner being, who adores me and appreciates me, and I feel that satisfaction and more? Or am I under the influence of people who are too busy, of people who are worried about their own lives, of people who haven't been practicing the receiving mode maybe their whole life, and maybe sometimes they stumble into it? See, that's what tricks you. Sometimes a person, without even knowing how they did it, will stumble into alignment. And sometimes they'll hold you as their object of attention while they're in alignment. And oh boy, does it feel good. And then you get dependent on something that isn't stable, because they're going to go home and have a fight with their mate, or they're going to try to wrestle their kids to the ground who won't listen to them, or they'll try to gather more money when they don't have enough. You don't know what's going on in people's lives. You don't know what influence that they're under, and to count on them to be your sustenance, your refreshment, we don't recommend that. So over time, we've offered lots of processes to help you lean more in the direction of the receiving mode. We've talked about upstream and downstream, and we've talked about pivoting. In other words, if you've been listening, we've been endless in our great ideas of things that you could do to feel more like that. And these days, what we are really recommending is that you take time in every day just to quiet your mind, because when you meditate and quiet your mind, when you stop thought, you stop resistant thought, and when you stop resistant thought, your vibration rises, and when your vibration rises, you're in the receiving mode. And if you do that on a regular basis, 15 or 20 minutes every day, you've got it covered. You'll hear your inner being, because you know your inner being never stops being aware of you, not for one moment. And if you ever feel lonely, you're not looking. You're missing something that's there. It's like you've tuned your own radio dial right out of the frequency of this strong signal that is always there. So sometime soon, you could come to the hot seat and you could say, nothing in my world is the same. I don't live in the same place I used to live, and I don't go to the same place to work that I used to, but I am so fulfilled and satisfied, and I stopped caring about appreciation from others because they're not reliable. You really put people in an awkward position when you say, I need you to love me, and they say, I don't feel like loving you. And sometimes they even say, it's not you, it's me. At which point you want to say, yeah, I know it's you. And then say to them, yeah, I've been looking for love in all the wrong places for a little while, and I'm going to let you and everybody else off the hook. I'm no longer going to look for sustenance where it isn't. I'm going to look for it where it is. I'm going to get myself tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and I'm going to feel good. And I'm going to radiate it out to the world, and maybe somebody will benefit from it, and maybe they won't, but they shouldn't count on me for it, because I might radiate it and I might not. Yeah? Yeah. Enough?